Hey, this is Carl Toston. I am introducing this brand new RainSong guitar. This is the DR1100 N2 guitar. Now, many of us traditionalists, we look at guitars and we see Sitka spruce, and that makes us happy. RainSong has found a way to take two very thin strips of book-matched Sitka spruce and fuse it to the top of unidirectional carbon fiber. The outcome of it is a very traditional look with the strength and longevity that you're going to get from the carbon fiber. Now, I'm going to show you this thing has a lot of horsepower, but it can also be very delicate. So I'm going to play just some garden variety, sort of real hard strumming to let you know how this thing reacts and responds to the hard pick. And also, as we go through this, we're going to demonstrate some of the very nuanced approaches and also talk to you about some of the features of the guitar and how this is very different from a standard traditional wooden guitar, yet it sounds, to me, when I close my eyes, it sounds like some of the very best boutique guitars I've ever heard in my life. So I'm going to just go ahead and strum some very simple chords so that you know how this thing's going to sound. So as you can hear, this guitar has just an absolute ton of power. And I've explained a little bit to you how this unidirectional carbon fiber with the spruce top, how it's actually kind of working in conjunction with each other. One of the, I think, the main assets of the carbon fiber guitar is that it's completely impervious to any outside forces, humidity, heat, cold. And for all intents and purposes, it's going to be impervious to time, which I think has been a killer of many vintage instruments. If you've ever been to any repair shops, you've seen a lot of guitars, and for neck resets, that's something that you're never going to have to deal with this guitar. You're never going to have warping, belling behind the bridge, sinking in front of the bridge, any kind of warpage at the top, cracks. You're never going to have the neck imploding into the middle of the guitar. Probably chances are you're never going to have this headstock break off, which if any of us have been out there playing in the real world, we've seen that multiple times. Neck's never going to shrink. You're never going to have the daggers on the fretboard that you get with a lot of wooden guitars. We've all played those guitars when we went into music stores. So you're going to get a lot of longevity. Also, this guitar strikes a balance of what an acoustic guitar is trying to achieve when they scallop the bracings and they lighten the top. What they're trying to do is strike that balance and find the fulcrum of where they have enough strength, tensile strength in the top, but also enough pliability so that the guitar will actually resonate. I've played lots of guitars that are overbuilt. They don't sound so great, but they're very durable. This strikes the balance of durability and also phenomenal sound. So I'm going to show you a little bit, just some finger picking things that you can hear, that you can actually nuance this, and you can kind of coax a very tender sound, lots of harmonics and richness of overtones. So. So the harmonics just seem to ring out on this thing. One of the things I think I was taken aback by is I have a lot of very fine acoustic guitars that are hand built by guys that build very small amounts of guitars. And when I stacked this thing up against it, I was amazed at although it did sound different, it had all the characteristics of those guitars, but I know that when I go to a gig and it's humid or it's hot, these are realities that we face. The limitations of wood guitars basically are the fact that wood has its tensile strength. The bracing has its job to hold that guitar in shape. With the carbon fiber, I can actually go to a gig. I could be down in the swamps of Mississippi or in the high desert of Arizona, and this guitar is going to sound the same. I'm going to pull it out of its case and I'm going to strum a chord. It's going to be in tune. It could be bone-chilling cold out. It could be blistering hot out, and this guitar is not going to move. And so looking inside of the instrument, I was actually taken aback by the fact that there are absolutely no braces in here. And I started doing these kind of tap tests around some of my high-end acoustic guitars, and what I noticed, because this doesn't have these over-braced section under here where the neck actually joins the body, this whole top is resonating. Actually, the whole body, when I strum it, you can feel the whole body is resonating. So this is a very unitized musical apparatus in that it's not just the top making the sound, it's actually the back and sides that are actually singing, if you want to say, in unison with the top. So I'm going to show you another feature, which is the fact that I can go to a very low tuning. And on a standard guitar, when you unload one side or you load one side, it's actually physically pulling that top, and it's changing the dimensions of things. So I can actually take this E string so I can lower that all the way down to A. The other strings are still in tune. And I'm gonna just play a little ditty for So as you can hear, the guitar will actually carry that note too. There's a lot of acoustic guitars, once you unload that top and you tune a guitar down, it's not driving that top hard enough, so you can't actually get it to physically do what it's supposed to do with carbon fiber. And I don't know how they did it, honestly. I mean, they obviously have an engineering set of circumstances that they're working from, and they can actually fine-tune this top to where it's got all the rigidity it needs, but again, it's still pliable enough that it moves and resonates with the guitar. So wonderful, wonderful, wonderful sounding guitar. A little bit more about it. 25.4 inch scale length, excuse me on that. Of course, it's got the neck is set in here. It's never going to need to be replaced. 1 3/4 inch nut. So if you're a finger picker or even a flat picker that wants just a little bit more room on the neck, you're going to find this extremely comfortable. The neck radius on this is absolutely beautiful. It's, you know, I got the guitar a couple weeks ago and I've been playing it. I've taken to it, you know, kind of like a duck to water, if you want to say. The fretwork on this thing is just absolutely astounding, and that's one of my pet peeves, I think, when I play not only high-end guitars, but a lot of factory guitars. The fretwork is, I would call it, not subpar, but it could be done better. The frets are super smooth on this. They just absolutely play in tune when I'm somewhere playing a chord. All the notes are ringing true. I may not be ringing true, but the notes are ringing true. And so I'll play play another little ditty here just to show you sort of the articulation that this thing has. I can play against this low D note here and do kind of a little Irish jig just so that you can hear that the balance of the guitar is that the treble strings versus the bass strings are, one's not overpowering or washing out the other, which can be a huge problem. So just a little bit of an example. Another thing with carbon fiber that I haven't talked about yet, and I bring up small builders because small builders are kind of on the cutting edge of, they know the limitations of wood. And so they're actually inlaying carbon fiber into the wooden necks. Why are they doing that? The neck is very much an integral part of the sound of a guitar. And what you want and what they're aiming at and what RainSong is able to do because of the carbon fiber is they're able to build a very stiff neck, and what you're getting is all the transmission from here. You're not losing it. I've actually seen a video where they've taken a slow motion camera on an acoustic guitar, and you can see when they strike the notes that the headstock is actually moving. Now it's incremental. It's very small, and you can feel it's vibrating. But if you think about when you've jumped on a trampoline and the term stealing somebody's bounce, you've taken their momentum. And that's exactly what happens when a headstock starts moving. It's actually taking the oscillation of the string, and they are not in simpatico, and it starts taking the sustain and all that down. By using a carbon fiber neck, you kind of rid yourself of all that. So you can transfer all the energy that's being made with the strings, transfer it right into the top of the guitar. What does that mean? It means that when you're playing your guitar, everything that you do is being transferred into the top. You're driving the top. It's making the sounds that you want to make. If you get a chance, run down to your local dealer and pick one of these guitars up. I think you're going to be amazed, as I was, and you're going to find that this is probably one of the best guitars you're ever going to play in your life. And I mean that longevity-wise. 100 years from now, this thing's going to sound and be structurally sound as it was the day it came out of the factory.